What's up guys, welcome back to Toon Duelists. So, you guys voted, you wanted to see a Monarch deck profile, and today you get your Monarch deck profile. I'm really excited you voted for this one guys, it's one of my favorite decks of all time, if not the favorite deck. And without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, we start things off with the monsters, and we start with our first Monarch, which is Erebus, the Underworld Monarch. We run 2 copies of this guy. He can be tribute summoning by tributing 1 tribute summoned monster. On summon, you can send 2 Monarch spell traps with different names from your hand or deck to the grave, and then choose a card from your opponent's hand, a random card, 1 card in his grave or 1 card on the field, and shuffle it back to the deck. This effect is insane because it does not target. Even going first, shuffling 1 card from your opponent's hand back to the deck before he even made his first move is insane. Now, when this card is in the grave, you can also discard 1 Monarch spell trap card and then choose 1 monster with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense from your graveyard and return it to your hand. I'll refer to this part of the effect with like 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense. I will just refer to this as Monarchs. It's way more easy, and none of the spells or monsters around the Monarchs specifically list Monarch monsters. Of course, there are other monsters that apply to this description. I'll get to that, but I'll just refer to them as Monarchs. Next up is the last Monarch we play, Aether, the Heavenly Monarch. We only run 1 copy of this guy, has the same summoning effect as his counterpart Erebus. And if it's summoned, you can send 2 Monarch spell traps with different names from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then special summon 1 Monarch from your deck, but return it to the hand during the end phase. Also, this card can be special summoned during your opponent's main phase. If you banish 1 Monarch spell from your grave, you can immediately tribute summon this card from your hand, which is also pretty good. Now, we have a card that prevents us from using the last effect of Aether. I'll get to that in a moment, and that's also why we only run 1 copy. Next up, Majesty's Fiend, which I would like to run 3 copies of. Sadly, I only own 1 at the moment, but you definitely have to run 3 copies of this card. Effect is plain and simple, it can't be special summoned, and neither player can activate monster effects. Not in the hand, not in the grave, not anywhere. Great card, and the best thing about this card is actually it has 2400 attack and 1000 defense, so it definitely counts as Monarch, definite 3 of. Next card is also very important and the last monster we want to tribute summon in this deck, and it is Vanity's Fiend. This card also can solo win you duels with the simple effect, it can't be special summoned, and neither player can special summon monsters. Simple effect with so much power. Insane card, definite 3 of in this deck. Okay, next up, let's talk about the squires in this deck, and the first one we're going to talk about is Eidos, the Underworld Squire. We run 2 copies of this guy, and he has the simple effect that if this card is normal or special summoned, during your main phase this turn, you can tribute summon 1 monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can also banish it from the graveyard and then target another monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense, and then special summon it from the grave. Really, really great card. If you use its second effect though, you're locked from the extra deck. Doesn't bother us at all. Great card. Then of course we also play its counterpart, which is Idea, the Heavenly Squire. We also play 2 copies of this card. If it's normal or special summoned, you can then special summon 1 monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense, so basically him. Also, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 of your banished Monarch spell and trap cards and add it back to your hand, and this effect is very, very useful. I'll explain that when we get to the spell and traps. Great effect right here. And finally, for the last monster, half spell, better said, it's and Camoufrite. We run 3 copies of this bearded guy. This card is really great because it deals with one of the biggest issue, or the biggest issue this deck has, which is consistency, because you can just activate it as a spell card, pop itself to draw a card, and if it's the only card in your extra deck, you can special summon it out. So basically it lets you draw a card and is a free monster to like tribute to go into one of your monarchs. But You have to be careful because there are some cards in our deck that won't work when we have cards in the extra deck. But as I said, the biggest issue with this deck is consistency, so we need Encamu Fright and we need 3 copies of it. That's it for the monsters, guys. Let's go on with the spells. So for the spells, we start with the heart and soul of this deck, which is Pantheism of the Monarchs. This spell is just insane. Every time I play it, I can't believe this card is real. The effect is that you can send 1 Monarch spell trap from your hand to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. You can also banish this card from your graveyard, then reveal 3 Monarch spell trap cards from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1 for you, and you add it to your hand and you shuffle the rest back into your deck. The important part is you can only use this effect of Pantheism once per turn. Means the other effect, where you send a Monarch spell trap from your hand to the graveyard to draw 2 cards, is not a once per turn. You can do this as often as you like. And if you remember Idea, if Idea gets sent to the graveyard and this card is already banished, you can add it back to your hand and draw another 2. The second effect of this card is also insane because we run so many 3-offs. We have searches for our Monarch spells, so most of the time you don't let your opponent choose, you basically choose what card you want. Definite 3-off. Next up is the other big searcher we have in this deck, which is Tenacity of the Monarchs. Also great card, definite 3-off, because you can reveal 1 Monarch in your hand and then add a Monarch spell trap from your deck to your hand. Great card, definite 3-off. Next up is our field spell, Domain of the True Monarchs. Beautiful card, by the way. Now, this field spell has the following effects: that while you have no cards in your extra deck and you're the only one who controls a tribute summoned monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. If a tribute summoned monster attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack. And then once per turn, you can reduce the level of 1 monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense in your hand by 2 until the end of this turn. So you can basically make your 2 big monarchs be a 1 tribute monster. So really great card, definite 3-off. Next 3-off rerun is the Monarch's Stormforth. This card is also insane. Basically a board breaker in this deck, because once during this turn, if you would tribute summon a monster, you can tribute summon using 1 monster your opponent controls. You can only activate 1 Monarch Stormforth per turn, and during the turn you activate this card, you can special summon from the extra deck. Now this is the card where you have to be careful with Enactment Fright, but awesome card. It does not target, basically makes all of your Monarchs kaijus in a way, definite 3-off. Next up is March of the Monarchs. Also a card that is pretty important. We only run 1 of it because it's not as important as the other 4, and it's searchable as you can see, but this card just says that tribute summon monsters you control can be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Pretty good card. Then of course we run 1 Terraforming, 1 Rhoda. Idea is a warrior, we can search it that way. 1 for 1, and then we run 3 Upstart Goblin. Now, as I mentioned, consistency is the biggest problem of this deck. Upstart Goblin really solves this problem. It's up to 3 again, draw a card, your opponent gets 1000 life points, who cares? Definite 3-off in this deck. And now the last spell we play is 3 copies of Time Tearing Morganite. As you can see, I only own 1 copy at the moment, definitely play 3. This card is basically made for Monarchs, because for the rest of this duel you apply the following effects. You can not activate monster effects in the hand. Now that's the card I talked about, which blocks out Ether. You draw 2 cards instead of 1 for your normal draw, and you can conduct 2 normal summons or sets per turn, not just 1. Monarchs lack in consistency. This card lets you draw 2 in your draw phase, and you get an additional normal summon. Awesome card. We run 1, the Monarchs Erupt. Now that's a continuous trap, which you can only activate if you have no cards in your extra deck and control a tribute summoned monster. You negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field, while those monsters are face-up on the field, except those of tribute summoned monsters. One thing that's really good about this card is you don't need a tribute summoning monster on the field for it to work, because it will be active until your end phase, because during your end phase, if you don't control the tribute summoned monsters, then send this card to the graveyard. And for the last card in our deck, we run 1, the Prime Monarch. This card is actually pretty great. Basically, that's the #1 card we want to get into our grave, because we can banish one other Monarch spell trap from our graveyard and special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster with 1000 attack and 2400 defense. So it's free tribute material if you want to put it that way. The other effect doesn't really matter. If it's on the field, you can once per turn target 2 Monarch spell traps in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck and draw a card. And guys, since we don't run an extra deck, that's it for this deck. Before we start with the test hands, since some cards are missing in my profile, I just want to shortly explain. I would like to play Time Tearing Morganite at 3. As a replacement, I have Return of the Monarch and 1 March of the Monarch. You already know this guy. This guy just lets you add a Monarch to your hand when you tribute summon a Monarch. And instead of 2 more copies of Majesty's Fiend, I play 1 Fossil Dyna Patifisalo. I think that's pronounced right, I hope so. Basically doesn't allow special summons. And then we run 1 Kurat's the Light Monarch. On summon can pop 2 cards. The owner of these cards can draw 1 card for each card that was popped, and it can't attack. So let's draw some test hands to show you what you can do with this deck. Alright, now first off you're going to activate Time Tearing Morganite. Won't do anything at the moment, but definitely next turn. Then we play 1 for 1. We get rid of our Monarch to bring out Idea. Idea will on-summon, bring out Eidos. Eidos will gain us an additional tribute summon this turn, but remember, Morganite is active. We still have our 2 normal summons, a triple one with Eidos, so tribute 1 for Vanity's Fiend and another for Majesty's Fiend. Bam. Your opponent can't use monster effects, he can special summon. Amazing start right here. Test hand number 2, let's see what we can do. Okay, not too bad. We'll start things off with 1 Upstart Goblin, and another Upstart Goblin, and a Rhoda. And we activate Time Tearing Morganite, so 2 normal summons, very important in this scenario. So next up, we normal summon Idea. Idea's effect triggers. Now, if it's negated, it's not too bad. We still have a second normal summon, remember that. Now we even have a third one, so no problem at all. What we're going to do is tribute Eidos for Vanity Fiend, and we can still normal summon our Pacifilosaurosaurus or whatever. And yeah, have 2 cards that prevent our opponent from special summoning. Also great block right here. Alright, and third starting hand. Let's see. Okay, nice. So first of all, we're going to start with Upstart Goblin. If he wants to ash, he can ash this. Then Pantheism. Draw 2. Alright, then we activate our Time Tearing Morganite. So next up, we're going to banish our Pantheism, and we'll show our opponent our March. And 2 Tenacities, so whatever he chooses. If he gives us a Tenacity, we can show him Majesty's Fiend and search our March that way, or he'll just give it to us right away. Doesn't matter, we get this. Now, the reason we chose for March and not for Domain or something else is because we have our Vanity's Fiend, so no special summoning at all. We don't need Domain that much in this scenario. Next up, 1 for 1. We'll drop Majesty's Fiend for Idea. Idea's effect will go off, and we special summon Eidos. So we still haven't normal summoned yet. We activate Return, we activate March, we tribute Idea actually for Vanity Fiend. Idea's effect will trigger, and we can take Pantheism back to the hand. Now we can search for another Monarch, which in this scenario would probably be Erebus for follow-up. But remember, if you really play 3 of this guy, you can just search for Majesty Fiend. And because you have another normal summon out, you can also basically, if you had 3, bring out Majesty Fiend and still have the full lock on board, and they can't even target or destroy your Vanities and your Majesty's Fiend. So also, again, great board. Guys, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to read them and answer them. I totally love this deck. I hope I could show you how amazing this deck can actually be. If you wanna support us and like the comment, please leave a like and a subscription. This would really help us a lot. Guys, until next time, have a good one.